Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks Hockey Podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Craig. You're right. I'm not ever getting used to it. Yeah, it's still weird saying hi to a robot. And our lovely guest, Maya Smith, that we had on last week was like, yeah, I kept wondering what that was about.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't, like, we don't describe or properly introduce Craig each and every episode. And if you were to choose one, you just hear us saying hi to Craig, you reacting to it like this is so weird, and me calling you out on it not being weird, even though it probably is very weird.
Yes, he's our recording robot for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out to, some of the new listeners that might have stumbled across the Best Mediocre Vancouver Canucks and Vancouver Goldeneyes podcast. Why I think we might have some new listeners, Anna, is that I've been trying to engage on the Goldeneye subreddit. Like, I've not always been an avid Redditor. And I'm trying to expand my horizons, and the Goldeneyes subreddit's got some good vibes to it. And so when we've had guests like Maya or a few weeks back, Lachlan, they've said, hey, Goldeneyes fans, there's someone here who's going to talk about the Goldeneyes and has like an inside view. And yeah, there's been a couple of people that have said that, oh yeah, no, I found it your podcast because of this. And someone who has been talking to you and had not found the podcast. So Anna, you're doing a horrible job promoting the podcast.
Apparently. I don't even know who this person is, by the way, but hi to whoever you are.
Well, okay, I shouldn't make such a big deal about it. It's what we see the Reddit username that doesn't always correlate to how we might properly know people.
Yes.
One of the podcast listeners of the past runs into me in the complex I live in and says, hey, Chris. I'm like, oh, hey. It's like, yeah, I listened to your podcast. And my response is, which one? Because at the time, I had quite a few. Like, oh, the Canucks one. And then, I eventually, learned who it was. But, as soon as the introduction occurred and then here's the username. Oh, yeah, no, I totally get it. Now I know who you are. But, like, that's the thing is in the digital space, we know people by usernames. In the more real life space, often their name.
I mean, there's plenty of people on my other Discord servers, because I can't be bothered to change my profile for different servers, that just think I look like Alex Edler, probably.
You do look like Alex Edler.
Yeah.
As far as our listeners on this show are concerned, you look like Alex Edler.
Yeah, why not?
There's no other way for them to hear how you look. We're off the rails. We're gonna continue staying off the rails. If you happen to be a Vancouver Whitecaps supporter, it's dire times right now. This is.
How is it dire times already?
Okay, so about this time last season, news breaks that the team's for sale, and any professional sports team in Vancouver, when it goes on the market, raises the question: what rich billionaire that likes sports is interested in buying a team? This would be the same conversation Canucks fans would have if the family were to suddenly say, "We want to sell." And there was a lot of concern. Oh my goodness, the Whitecaps are going to get sold. They could be relocated, and the league was actually suggesting that was a possibility because they were needing to negotiate a new lease with the BC Place Stadium. And then the season that they had, phenomenal. And near the end, I think it was Jeff Mallett that was being interviewed. He had said that, it sort of got blown out of proportion, but it wasn't so much they were looking to sell in, so much they were looking for someone to buy in, like more investment. And I get that, right? As you want to sort of grow your organization, one of the ways to do that is to gain capital by selling off a portion to someone at the value it is, blah, blah, blah. Get that part. Oh, cool. successful season. They're looking for investment. They're in it for the long haul. And then this past week, first an email gets sent out to all season ticket holders to say, we have received what is most likely the best offer we can get out of BC Place. We appreciate that they have given us their best offer. It's not good enough. Then there's the Axel Schuster press conference where he says, yeah, we've had X number of people. I think he said like there are over 100 people who expressed interest in getting in on the team or buying the team. I think it was 30 who actually signed the NDA to look at the books. And not one of them looked at all of that and said, the money works for me. Like essentially positioned it as if this club is not something to be invested in. And he had explained it's just that there's no stadium. And you look at the team, there's no assets. Brand team, that's it. They don't have a stadium. They don't have any practice facility. They don't own that. And that's, we've talked about it here on the podcast with why is it that the Aquilinis own the Canucks? And why was it that it wasn't just them that was interested at the time? It was the Beatties and the Gallardis, all developers. It was a land deal. They just happened to have a hockey team and a rink attached to it. Well, why is it a dire time? Well, now the MLS has come out and said, we're not sure how they proceed. And I've read some additional context provided from really smart people who've also done some digging. I actually think it comes down to the fact that because the Vancouver Whitecaps FC do not have a stadium, there is really no way for them to make themselves profitable enough that someone would come and invest or own, because they view it as, well, I'm putting money into an organization that I don't have a means to cash out from. And
I mean, I'm a Middlesex cricket fan, so I'm very familiar with that because MCC, which I think I might mention on the podcast before, it's one of the oldest sporting organizations in the world. They run the Laws of Cricket. They own Lord's Cricket Ground. We are the rowdy tenants that they find pretty disagreeable, I'm sure. So yeah, and it's really hard to make money when you are paying to put on matches, essentially. So yeah.
And I'm not one who subscribes to a government subsidy to a billionaire owner or ownership group. Professional sports teams, there is costs associated with that. I don't discount the fact that there is an economic benefit, and as a result, some form of conversation can be held where if the economic benefit is X, a contribution of Y, which should not exceed what the benefit is. I'm not against that. But then in the current economic climate, and I mean, just in the broader political climate in BC, the province is not in a position to be giving money to the Whitecaps, to the Canucks, to, I mean, this is not me knocking. I'm a supporter. I'm a fan. It's just, how do you correlate? I'm going to go and give millions.
Yeah.
And I'm not, it could be hundreds of thousands. I don't know what it is, to a professional franchise when you've got a health system that needs investment, an education system that needs investment. There's so many public, service entities,
homelessness
that need
and
investment.
Substance abuse crisis. I completely get what you're saying. I do think it's that would be huge reputational blow, right? Though, to the city to lose a super successful, at least recently successful MLS team.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing, is people have tried to draw sort of a straight line from the Vancouver Grizzlies to the Vancouver Whitecaps. The Grizzlies were never a successful team. They never operated like a successful team. Players did not want to play in Vancouver. It was very clear.
Yeah. But that was
Whitecaps
set up to fail, right? That's as far as I understand it.
Reasons. The Vancouver Whitecaps FC, their amount of sort of broad success has been limited, but players have wanted to come to Vancouver. And there's a reason why Thomas Mueller came to Vancouver. He talked about the project and really buying into the vision of the organization. There's really no way to straight line. And you can, as a fan, you could say, Vancouver sports fans, they don't support the team. Fans are showing up. It's just the economics that the team plays in a stadium, they don't control, and as a result is giving up cash. Now, The counter to that, they don't have to pay all of the ancillary costs to open the doors. They don't have to worry about finding tenants for, 300
off season,
other days of the year, right?
Mm.
Like, it's very complex, but I do worry. Anyhow, we're not here to talk about my worries about the Vancouver Whitecaps FC. We're here to talk about the Vancouver Canucks and the Vancouver Goldeneyes.
No worries about the Canucks.
Yeah. So the Canucks, they proved you and I a little wrong in what they did over the course of the week.
Excuse me? I think you may have yourself confused there. I was right on all three counts, technically.
Really? Did you give the loser point?
No, but I said they would lose 2 games and they would win against Anaheim. So...
Well, that's why. So I was saying you're righter than I was, but we were both proven slightly wrong.
Yes. Okay.
Right. And then the Vancouver Goldeneyes. I mean, the Goldeneyes is so difficult. They're new. They're an expansion franchise, and the league itself is still new. A couple seasons does not make for a broad history to build upon. So yeah, we kind of got that one wrong there too. But that said, we'll talk about both of the teams and all sorts of other stuff. First and foremost, though, let's dive into Rewind. Let's kick things off with the Goldeneyes. They played one game this past week. The game did take place. I know I had sort of posed that question to Maya, and political and human interests aside, and I'm not trying to discount them, things did change from when we spoke with Maya to when the game took place. Change maybe not significant enough. Well, I shouldn't say change wasn't significant enough. Let's make the very direct point. But game took place. Vancouver was okay.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, you're playing against Minnesota. It's I would say it's a tough team to play against in any circumstance. That joint Walter Cup champions the last 2 years, are only Walter Cup champions. Whatever the situation is, these are professional hockey players, and they seem to, even if they are maybe affected by what's going on around them, we spoke about how the players spoke over the weekend. But yeah, they're a physical team. I don't go into a Minnesota game expecting a Goldeneyes win. That's what I'll say.
The Vancouver Goldeneyes were very Vancouver Canucks-like. Didn't really show up at puck drop, and I mean, they were there, they were involved, but for someone who may not have watched the game, the PWHL website does a pretty cool thing where they show you graphic representation as where shots came from. The first period alone of the shots that Vancouver had, one of which came from center ice. That's a generous shot. There were 2 between the hash marks in front of the net. So 2 high danger opportunities. I actually don't even recall either of them being truly high danger. You look at the frost. Of all of the shots they had, there were arguably only maybe 8 outside of the hash marks. They were all in front of Soupy. That's not a good way to set yourself up for success from a defensive perspective. And, maybe Minnesota then sort of, I don't want to say took their foot off the gas. They played well. Vancouver had woke up. But when you're down 3-0 after 1, that is a big hole you have to climb out of. And sure, the Goldeneyes tried to with the goal in the second period from Karvinen, but you're still needing to.
Yeah, and now you're saying that, summarizing it like that, it's very Canucks of them trying to win the game in the last 10 minutes of the third period. Obviously, yeah, the second period it was better. I only watched, I think I turned it on somewhere near the first. But yeah, I will say Michelle Covenant, if we're going to take a positive, I do think she is getting stronger and stronger with each game. So yeah, I like what I see from her. There was a lot of good play. Yeah, it's just hard. And I will say, like, the goalie, what's her name? Rooney. She had a great game. Like, first start of the game, she was equal to the task. So yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, it is unfortunate that Vancouver's winning streak, which just to point out is longer than anything the Vancouver Canucks have had in recent times, came to an end just before the Olympic break. And for the Goldeneyes, that's actually the last hockey they play until March.
Yeah, there's been some pretty wholesome Instagram content with all the Goldeneyes going off to the Olympics, because so many of them, there's 5 Canadian team players, so just their little journeys off to the camp in Switzerland was, yeah, it's kind of cute if you want to check out some wholesome content.
Yeah, but speaking of a team that can't win 2 games in a row, the Vancouver Canucks, well, I mean, they did what I guess you expected-ish. The game against the Sharks, that was a good loss. Macklin Celebrini, future Vancouver Canuck, he's not a bad player.
He's so good. I didn't even realize until the next day about the face-off win with the butt of his stick. If you haven't seen that, please look that up. It's so good.
I actually don't recall seeing it, but in fairness, when it comes to watching the Canucks, it's on the TV and I can hear it, but I'm like reading a book.
No, but that's what.
So the Canucks actually, got underway real darn quick. Tom Willander had scored with like a minute into the game. Now, people weren't yet in their seats. They were still coming in from outside, because if there's one thing about a Vancouver sports crowd, you don't get there early. And then from there, before they'd even, I think, announced that Vancouver had scored, Macklin Celebrini had tied it up. And the San Jose Sharks decided to make sure that nearly every Vancouver Canuck that had ever, or any former Vancouver Canuck, found a way to the score sheet. It didn't quite come to be the trifecta, but Adam Gaudette, who, when I heard his name announced, I actually paused, rewound, confirmed that's what I heard, and then went online to ensure that was actually the Adam Gaudette.
Yeah, the hockey god.
Played for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I mean, I only realized that in the first game against the Sharks this year. I had missed that memo.
And then, 2 minutes later, Tyler Toffoli, the one that slipped away, he scored too. So the Vancouver Canucks, in the course of the 6-minute period mark of the first period, had gone from a 1-0 lead to a 3-1 deficit. It did not get better from there.
Nope. Yeah. It was just it's crazy to think you're outclassed by the San Jose Sharks, but they were.
Oh yeah. I mean, Philip Hronek looked like a guy who, like, he has taken on the Quinn Hughes mantle of, I'm going to try to put the team on my back and carry them. But Philip Hronek is Philip Hronek.
Not Quinn Hughes, because no one's Quinn Hughes. Apart from Quinn Hughes. Yeah. I mean,
hey,
what were you
I was going to say, Evander Kane got into a fight. Took on notorious heavyweight Tommy Lilgren.
I know, yeah. Like, honestly, if I'm not against that though, because the only way that Evander Kane gets off the Canucks is some old school hockey GM, which we know are out there, right? That they think, we need some of that toughness in the playoffs. Even though,
Sure.
so when do you get fighting in the playoffs? Hardly ever. But that's by the by. So anything that makes him look tough and physical, sure.
A little off the rails. I'm currently reading Gino, the book written by Patrick Johnston, and is it Brian Leach? I am friend of the show, PJ. They're talking about sort of Gino's career and the number of times where his role in the regular season, he does everything what the coach wanted. This is what they brought him in. A lot of pugnacity, a lot of fist throwing, no playoff. And Gino sees this and tries to evolve his game. No playoffs. Like the amount of time that Gino Ojic, in capacity of him as an NHL player, was purely a regular season guy. And the Canucks started Sean Antosky before they started Gino Ojic.
Yeah.
I digress.
No, slightly more off the rails on Gino. I did tweet this yesterday and skeet or whatever you're supposed to say.
Skeet on.
But
yeah. Or if you don't like the word, say post.
Yeah, I will say post. You know what? Because I threw up a little bit in my mouth when I said skeet. Yeah, when I was watching the Leafs game yesterday in a bar, and some guy was talking about Gino, and I was like, I love Gino, but there's no way that this man has interesting hockey opinions if he's talking about Gino during a Canucks game. He's definitely saying, back in my day, like for sure.
You know what he was talking about Gino in reference to?
No, he wasn't even watching the game. It was like one of those ones where it's like,
so it was the back in my day.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, the Vancouver Canucks lose 5-2 to the Sharks on Tuesday, as you and I had prognosticated. I'm pretty sure I did have the Canucks beating the Sharks. I don't remember. I'm old. The Ducks, though, rolled into town on Thursday. This is the game that you had predicted the Canucks would win, and they did win. It's 2-0. Starting goaltender Tolopilo does not get the shutout. Yeah,
it's brutal. I mean, just jumping back to the Sharks game, but I said throw Tolopilo to the Sharks because why bother start Kevin Lankinen when you're not going to win? Anyway, they pulled him after 6 minutes. How is that helpful to Kevin Lankinen? Like, no night off. Confident shot. Anyway, Tolopilo. He's had a good week, but no shutout is on his NHL resume. Which, yeah.
Yeah. So the Vancouver Canucks, win that game 2-0. The way the game was being played out, it didn't feel like the Canucks were going to get the win at really any point until suddenly they actually scored a goal, a very rare occurrence. That will also happen in a third period. But I think the moment of the game that frustrated many Vancouver Canucks fans was the reason as to why Tolopilo did not get the shutout. So late in the first period, I think it was Ryan Poehling came crashing into the Vancouver net, just takes Tolopilo out, just brutally crashes into him. Tolopilo finishes the period, but as the period was going on, puck gets dropped after the penalty. Lankinen was seen putting his gear on. And Ray Ferraro, who was between the benches, had said, I think Lankinen's coming in. I wonder if it was the eye in the sky requiring Tolopilo to come out. Second period rolls out, Lankinen's in the net. That's the reason why Tolopilo's into shutout. You don't share in the NHL. Now, it's not that Tolopilo didn't get the shutout that's pissed people off. It's that when Ryan Poehling crashes into Tolopilo, there was no reaction from the Canucks in regards to standing up for your goaltender. I've thought about it because I'm like, well, the referee clearly was calling a penalty. Like the arm went up straight away. He was waving it off. He was pointing. He was sending to the box. And the intelligent professional hockey player knows don't do something stupid to take your team off the power play. But the NHL does tend to allow some liberal, not in my house conversations and games of stinky glove to stand up for your teammates. There, not even a Canuck came over to pull them out of the net or stand over them and give them menacing looks.
Yeah, and with the amount of dumb fights you see over perfectly legitimate hits or scraps that happen over a goalie getting a little bit of snow on them, and then you don't see reaction for that. I agree, that's frustrating.
And some of it has to do with the personnel that were on the ice at the time. And I've seen people Petey's a veteran. He looked back, he saw it. He needs to come over there and set the tone. You know what? I like Petey with an edge, but that's not his game.
Yeah, that's not going to be him, but yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm curious who the defensemen were on the ice at the time. I don't know who was all on, but to me, there's two guys who should be in relatively close proximity who won't get the attention of an official skating in from the blue line to go pull a guy out of the net. But anyhow.
Yeah, and just so we're talking about Tolopilo getting pulled for concussion spotting, and Adam Foote complaining that because the goalies have to take off all their gear for a concussion test, they couldn't get it all done in intermission. I'm just like, it just seems like needlessly undermining of the process when the process is whatever the process is. You can be mad that the NHL has stupid finicky rules that won't give Tolopilo the shutout, but don't be mad at concussion protocol. But it's Adam Foote, so.
Anyhow, Adam should just be thankful that Tolopilo didn't have a little extra fiber in his diet and go full Luongo, okay? I mean, that actually was brought up during the game because, boy, when I was the playoff game, that was the elimination against was it the Sharks or was it the Ducks?
Ducks.
I actually can't remember.
It was.
And when Luongo wasn't back on the ice, it's like, holy crap, because he was the reason the Vancouver Canucks got to overtime in that game. It was all Roberto Luongo. Oh, man, it's great times. So the Vancouver Canucks get a 2-0 win. You would think, oh, wow, 2-0 win, all 3 stars Vancouver. No, Luke Dostal got himself the 3rd star. Why does the Ducks goaltender get himself a star? Because, honestly, the game could have gone either way. Both goaltenders were doing everything they could in their power to get their team to win. It's just the Ducks forgot that they were playing the Canucks.
Yeah, and obviously he didn't let in the empty net goal, which was actually, as far as empty net goals, was pretty cool.
Yeah, Teddy was pumped.
Oh yeah,
when he scored that goal.
And I will say, Canucks seemed pumped in general from that win, and it was just okay, Leo Carlson's not playing, Mason McTavish isn't playing, Troy Terry didn't come back, and it's the Ducks. But if they needed a little, maybe Tolopilo's performance really motivated them. Sure, you can't lose every game, as someone pointed out to me.
That's right. And as is the law in the NHL, when your goaltender pitches a shutout, he starts the next game. So Leafs in town for a nooner. And, it wasn't a nooner, but for all intents and purposes, it could have been. Tolopilo got the start. And, yeah, the Canucks did not win this game, but it wasn't for a lack of Tolopilo trying to do everything except for score.
Yeah. I will say, this was not vintage hockey. This was not purist hockey from either team. I like watching the third period. It did make me, it's that Barbie meme of, do you ever think about dying? But yeah. Tolopilo tried.
Mm-hmm.
The overtime.
We had a penalty shot in overtime.
Yeah. It was a bad penalty shot, but and you know what? I love penalty shots, so I don't even care that it was against the Canucks, because more penalty shots, more time. Yeah, they actually had an exciting overtime, more exciting than any of the third period, I thought, and then immediately regretted it. Brendan Batchelor asked a challenging question to Pedersen in the scrum, which I really liked, saying, in the politest way possible, your other overtimes have been boring as hell. What did you how was this shift in mindset? And person. No, that wasn't a shift in mindset. We just made mistakes. And it's like, oh, okay. So you were accidentally exciting by accident. And I was like, oh, okay. Never mind. Back to boring OT.
The honesty, though, like we've talked about how it almost occurs to us that the Vancouver Canucks goal in overtime is to get to the shootout.
100%.
It would make sense that mistakes would contribute to them having offense.
Yeah. And obviously, you can't. I can understand doing that when you have Kevin Lankinen in net, but you didn't. He is the shootout king, so yeah. Obviously, no shootout win for Tolopilo.
Yeah. But when you look at this game, if you're on Team Tank, you're happy because Toronto got one extra point than Vancouver, which ensures there's still a good spread between the team from the East and the Canucks. If you're on Team Anti-Tank, you can look at this week and say the Canucks are now starting to play semi-inspired hockey, except for the fact that wasn't inspired hockey when the Sharks were in town. Maybe there's some positives to be had here as they look to wrap up their schedule prior to the Olympic break. So the Vancouver Canucks now head out on the road to get 2 games under their belt at the start of February. They're in Utah, taking on the Mammoth Monday. So depending on when you listen to the podcast, it may have happened. It may as well be happening. Who knows? And then they go to Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. That's on Wednesday. Anna, are there any points coming to the Canucks out of these 2 games?
No.
Okay. I was going to say no, but I was worried that maybe I was just being too pessimistic.
No. I mean, like, Mammoth are a young, exciting team who are clinging on to a wildcard spot. And in a mid-off, they are the most mid.
Mid-off. Yeah. And the Golden Knights are the Golden Knights. So the Vancouver Canucks, actually, just on that note, on the road, they're actually not a horrible team. It's their home record that stinks. And I saw a statistic that the Vancouver Canucks are on the verge to have a worse home record in a season than the Vancouver Grizzlies ever did. And I know he spoke about the Vancouver Grizzlies earlier in the show.
That doesn't sound good.
Grizzlies had some pretty bad seasons. So.
Yeah. Well, also they're playing for their moms because it's the mom's trip. Mm-hmm. So maybe they'll be extra motivated not to disappoint their moms. So we'll see.
It's one thing to disappoint your dad, but no one wants to disappoint their moms.
Nope.
It's just it's wrong. It's like, your mom is not my mom. I do not want to disappoint Anna's mom.
That's good. I mean, Susan is very proud of you, Chris.
Well, I love that Anna's mom is proud of me. I can't call her by her name. I think we talked about this when we all met up, and I'm like saying, hello, Ms. Forsyth, and I don't know if I never occurred to me about last names or anything like that. And it's Susan, and I can't. It's hard for me.
Your teacher. That's funny.
Yeah, it's just anyhow.
Anyway, hi, Mom.
Yeah, so no points, 2 games, off on a break. There is the possibility that over the course of this week there could be more moves. The NHL trade freeze or movement freeze goes in on Friday.
Okay, so I was wondering.
Room to maneuver. Exactly? I thought it was the 4th, but no, it's actually the 6th when it goes into effect.
Because the Olympics start on the 6th, but I guess it's hockey. Hockey doesn't start till
actually, did I make it? No, I'm revisiting. Now maybe it is the 4th that it goes into effect, because the trade deadline in March is the other. Gosh, now I need to go and look it up. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, as I'm looking it up using the power of the internet, Feb 4. So the freeze is Feb 4. The trade deadline's March 6th. That's why I get confused. There's not a whole lot of room between the two.
So February 23rd is the unfreeze, the thaw, as it were.
And a 2-week mad dash.
Yeah.
To trade your guys. To pack your bags.
Quick question. I mean, we'll discuss this more in half full, half empty, but does the roster freeze? I guess that doesn't apply to coaching staff, right?
Oh, no.
They have no protection, presumably.
There's no coaching union.
Maybe there should be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Could you imagine the coaches going on strike?
Well, I mean...
power to the unions. Power to the people.
Yeah.
That part,
it's just like
short circuits.
Much good may it do them. I think they'd be like, okay. And that's sad, but I think it's true.
No. Anyhow, we're going to take a break. You're listening to the C4 Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna, Chris, and Craig.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on it.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He didn't play. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
So the Vancouver Canucks have systems, or so we're told. I can't speak to what they might be. Other than defensively, it's very clear that the Canucks are taking a man-on-man approach.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is they've got some slow men's on the blue line.
Yeah, and it's a problem where what happens when, like the man you are manning on, like gets free. Like what happens? They don't seem to be able to tolerate any change to the system, you know? Like, oh, someone has to take another guy. What do you do? And sometimes it's just follow him rather than cover his guy. It seems to be like follow him.
There's limited trade-offs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we would knock Talk It Hockey on this podcast. But I think it was very clear as day. Talk It Hockey had a very clear, constructive zonal system where everyone had their sort of spot in the ice. That was their spot. If a puck came into their spot, they chased that puck. If the puck left their spot, they were like, my spot. And the next guy got involved. And I mean, there was some fluidity, but the point was, it was very clear. It was much more sort of zonal approach. The system that we see defensively with Foote is sort of this, you know, man presence. And you know, when you think about like the Canucks blue line, yeah, some of the younger guys, and formerly young guy, Quinnius, they could chase or press or potentially, you know, harass an opposition player into making a mistake. But then you have to then consider, how do the Marcus Petterssons and the Tyler Myers do it? Because neither one of those guys exudes speed to me. But they both exude size. And I would think you would build a system that would understand you can't force Tyler Myers to be faster unless you put him on the fourth line as a forward.
Yeah,
but,
and believe me, he's tried that.
Let him use his reach. Like,
yeah.
The chaos draft base.
The amount of it's crazy how like few times over the years Tyler Myers has been allowed to exploit like his main strength, which is his giant gibbon arms. Like, and because when it works, it looks it works. Whether Canucks are executing Adam Foote systems correctly or not, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are and it doesn't work. But either way, it's not working. It's not playing to their defensive strengths or lack thereof. But yeah, so it is just like what... And I hate the sort of argument about, oh, losing culture, what damage does that do to young people, young players, when... It's like, yeah, but they don't have a winning culture either. What have they been doing for years?
They've been
but
knitting, and they were really good at it.
Yeah. But like to transition, because I think the system also speaks to his philosophy, which, you know, we saw in action with Jonathan Lekkerimäki scoring a goal, but then getting benched for most of the third period in OT because of mistakes.
What he did wrong.
Yeah. But like, what kind of, like, you have no leash if you are Jonathan Lekkerimäki, but, you know, if you're David Kampf, you can do whatever you want. There's just
he's not a development coach.
No, he's not, like, and some of the best players almost and he's been a very successful player, Adam Foote, that is without a doubt, like, but he doesn't translate that in any way to be motivational or positive. Yeah, like you say, in terms of development, because Jonathan Lekkerimäki, like, he's been cooking in Abbotsford. What are we doing here if we're not encouraging young players, if we're saying the first mistake you make gets you benched?
We're teaching them a tough lesson. It's how to be a pro. Don't make mistakes. You know better. I don't subscribe to that theory when you're... No, but that's the reason why, because Jonathan Lekkerimäki is making too many mistakes.
Yeah.
No, but I agree with you. Like, you know, me being facetious as I am is not suggested in any way as being, you know, contrary to what you're saying. It's just that Adam Foote doesn't know any different. Like, he was not brought in to be coaching a young team. For all intents and purposes, he was brought in and then the, you know, hope that Quinn Hughes didn't leave. You know, he's at best Teemu Tocchet. And, you know, Tocchet's not a guy who was in Vancouver as a developmental coach. And if you were to suggest otherwise, I give you what he's doing in Philadelphia right now.
100%. Because Philadelphia is a team that has some great young players that need development. And while there was maybe some initial success, like, yeah, this is what we're seeing. Like,
and it's not that you and I discount, oh, if they make mistakes, just let them. It doesn't matter. No, it does matter. But it doesn't matter when you make a mistake. It's when you continue to make the same mistakes over and over. And more importantly, that's applied to everyone equally, regardless of tenure.
Yeah.
Coaches who are good at development will have their veterans on a slightly shorter leash than that of their younger prospect players. And as the team gets better, those leashes start to even out. And what we're not seeing with Vancouver is the opposite. The veteran players are given, well, most, okay, if your name's Jake DeBrusk, that leash is very small, but the majority of them are given a lot of room to do what they do. I was going to say maneuver, but there's a lot of maneuvering there. There's a whole lot of, I don't know, whatever you would call it. But the point is just he's not the right coach for the right time. But then I don't want him to go because Tank Commander, man, give that guy a medal.
Well, that's the thing. That's the balance, right? I agree 100% that he's Tank Commander. Unless, facetiously, do you want to put a coach in this environment? Probably not. But at the same time...
So, you put on a rundown. Is it fair to hire a new coach in a rebuild? And, you know, why we're talking about it right now is there is the possibility, because the scuttlebutt is, does Foote survive the Olympic break? And there is a 50-50 chance right now that he doesn't. I think that's what the actual odds are. I look at it as sort of the perspective of the front office. If they clearly are buying in, we're going to get young, we're rebuilding, we need to start growing our team and developing the players that we're going to bring in and give them every opportunity. Yeah, bring in a new coach. But to me, if I was in charge, I'd be like, nah, if I'm bringing in these kids, changing here, like, are they going to actually be with me next season? I bring in my coach, give them a full season to put together a plan, know what roster they're working with. I I do that in the off season, but then I see benefit because you could say, oh, well, the coach gets the coach the opportunity to see what they've got so that they can help inform the decisions they make next season. I don't know if you're in a position to be doing that quite yet.
I will say, yeah, like
then
that
the Canucks
would
could be doing a hybrid rebuild that was started 3 years ago.
Yeah, that we.
Jim Benning was still in charge.
I mean, that would be a question I would be asking if I was, say, Manny Malhotra. Like, what's the plan? Not just like, am I next? But also like, what does the roster look like? Because if you are coming in to this roster and you just, a month into your tenure as coach, a big player gets traded, or just anything about your team fundamentally shifts, then that's not a position to succeed. Honestly, I was thinking about this when we were having our intro discussion about the Whitecaps. And this is an issue with the separation of coaching and management. There's a lot of positives to be gained from that, but if you look at a club like Arsenal, like Mikel Arteta is running the show, Arsene Wenger ran the show. Back in the day, Alex Ferguson ran the show. Like, nothing happened at those clubs without, like, the managers say so, right? Like,
I mean, the sports are different. In fairness,
no,
like
totally.
There's like the gaffer in a football match,
and there's way more coaches now than there are managers.
Yeah,
these
like
days.
their perspective is a little more elevated. But I do like what you're saying, because like, how many times last year and the season before under Tocchet did we hear the front office say, "Oh, here we're bringing in this player. We love what they do. Real right piece, right time," and Tocchet would Niels Hoglander them.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
Just not my type of player, right? To me, that's where that the disconnect was visible. You don't have to tell me there's a disconnect, and you could tell me that there isn't one. But when the front office says A, B, and C, and the coach is like X, Y, and Z, I'm sorry, that's not a Chris problem.
No, and like obviously in the past with bringing up Travis Green from the AHL, and maybe if they do that again, the idea is to create that through road, between prospects and development and the main team. But yeah, when it just like, I'm not saying give the coach a big amount of control, like let him take charge of the roster.
I hear what you're saying.
But I'm saying
you need alignment.
Yeah, you need alignment.
Yeah.
And
thinking back now,
I wouldn't
like the Vancouver Canucks. Like, I'm just thinking back quite some time. Mark Crawford, when he was brought in to take over a team that got absolutely, blown up by Mike Keenan. Mike Keenan, not a player's coach. Mark Crawford had a reputation of being a player's coach, had his own problems, has his own problems. Very, very clear about that. But you can see sort of what that transition occurred. Wasn't working out with Mark Crawford, and management decides we need to bring in a different voice. And they brought in a voice that they had in Manitoba at the time, Alain Vigneault. The logic being that Alain, getting a second opportunity in the NHL, but being able to work with the younger roster that had been established, seeing the West Coast Express era starting to transition out, and you saw that sort of, we're going to develop and we're going to build. AV stays until such time as whomever decided, let's go and bring in not the players sort of coach, although there are players out there who say he totally is, John Tortorella. Boom. Realize not working. Maybe we need to get back to that developmental style. Willie Desjardins, of all people. I mean, that part blew my mind. Bringing in Willie straight out of junior. But that said, Willie comes in, does not work for a variety of problems. And then they go with Travis Green. I think Travis Green was the right coach at the right time, but he got the Canucks to be mid, and the front office or ownership or whoever it was liked the mid.
Yeah.
And once it became apparent they weren't going to go and do anything more, they Bruce Boudreau'd it. I think Bruce was a good coach. He was a good coach at the right time. To me, it's a shame that they then went to Rick Tocchet, because I think Bruce would have allowed that team to have fun, to grow, to be exciting. I don't know if Bruce would have been the guy to, lead the Canucks to glory, because there was a lot of other problems there. But they brought in Tocchet because Tocchet had systems and Tocchet knew the way to play the game. And look at where we're at. We went from Tocchet to Teemu Tocchet. And I'm not, I like Manny. I'm high on Manny. I hope, he would take an offer from the Vancouver Canucks. I hope he succeeds. I truly do, because it would be a shame if he doesn't. Yeah. But I feel that the Vancouver Canucks need to look at what do we got? Where are we going? We need to grow our team. We need a coach who gets the young kids and doesn't try to turn them into old hockey men.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what Tocchet looked to do. That's what Foote's looking to do.
And we just hope that they're having frank conversations, with Manny or whoever. Just like, I know you can't tap up coaches, but that's part of their future planning too, because Adam Foote is not the future, that's for sure.
He shouldn't have been the future, but hey, when you got to go and buy thing, you can't afford the real jewelry, so you buy it off a shin. It is what it is. Anywho, here we are wrapping up another show. Scheduling update. We're going to be back next week, but with the Olympic break and the fact that there is a holiday coming ahead, we'll be off the weekend of February sort of 14 to 16. That is in BC here, Family Day weekend. We will be taking that weekend off. It's also a statutory holiday, and as is a practice, we generally don't record those weekends. So you'll hear a show from us next week, come out on the 9th, and then the next one after that will be the 23rd. We'll do our best to bring everyone up to speed on what's transpired over the course of this week with the Vancouver Canucks. If anything comes out about the Goldeneyes, though, I'll be honest, I don't imagine we'll hear much. The PWHL has shut down, considerably longer than the NHL has. So I don't imagine we're going to see a whole lot of news come out. And then even on the sort of the episode on the 23rd might be a little bit light in the Goldeneyes, but that's not to suggest we don't find a way to get more Goldeneyes content on the show. We are really trying to explore getting different voices and creators and media personalities who are talking Vancouver Goldeneyes, talking PWHL, and having them on as guests. I know Anna's been, working the social medias hard, trying to get connected with people. But if you are listeners are like, hey, I would love for this person or these people to come on your show, let us know who they are and we'll do our best to connect. Better yet, if you have a connection to them, do that introduction. That's actually how some of our, guest spots have occurred, is through an introduction of someone who knew us. Aaron Volpatti, when he joined us to talk, that was actually through a mutual connection of mine that helped connect those dots, which is pretty cool. Anyhow, Anna, got any final words of wisdom for our listeners this week?
I don't think I do. I mean, I hope that the Canucks moms have a really nice trip. I'm sure they will. Like, it doesn't matter, right? If their sons lose. Terrible.
Yeah. Well, don't disappoint your moms. You never want to disappoint your mom. Words of wisdom for me. I've actually been thinking about this. I'm going to start every time there's wisdom that comes from my daughter's soccer team, or when the transition of the season occurs, a softball team, I'm gonna drop that. Now, this word of wisdom comes from me that I shared with the girls today, because we had a tough game. We played a really good team. Like, seriously, those girls for 8 years old had some serious skill. It's not a measure as to how many goals are scored. It's a measure as to how hard you play. And if you felt you played your hardest, that itself is a win. And I think, that actually ties into how you and I approach the Canucks. We get more upset when it doesn't look like the team's trying hard.
Yes. I actually do have some good wisdom, actually, to share, just because you were talking about that game. We also lost our netball game today. We had a good time. And we played some good netball in there. But I had a conversation with my the captain of our team on the way home, and she actually shared this way of thinking about pub quizzes, like when you do trivia with your friends. But I think it's a good life lesson. And she just said her approach with those is always trust your gut and trust your friends. And I think that's a good life lesson to take.
It is. Trust your gut, trust your friends. If you've reached this point of the show and you'd like to support us, you can do so by going to buymeacoffee.com/C4podcast. Buy me a coffee, otherwise known as
Buy me a pint.
And you can throw a few bucks our way if you do a one-off donation, I guess. I don't know if I can even use that word legally, so if the lawyers are out there to tell me otherwise. A one-off contribution to our pint fund. You can do that. Any amount will do. That goes directly to the pints that Anna and I may or may not drink when we ever get back together again. And if you love us so much that you want to help pay the bills, and there are a few, you can do so by supporting us either monthly or annually. It's $5 a month, $50 a year, and in doing so, helps, again, keep the show's lights on. And generally speaking, anytime someone throws a few bucks our way, we like shouting them out. I make an effort to always remember the names of everyone who supports the show, and even those who, for very valid reasons, haven't been able to do so, longer term. That still means so much to me. You'll get shout-outs. It's just what little we can do to recognize you. So if you want to listen to our back catalog, if you happen to be new, c4podcast.com has most of our episodes. I mean, we've been around since forever, but unfortunately lost 100 or so episodes in the way back times. For that, I apologize. I do now know where those episodes were backed up to.
Ooh.
Having dug into the 33-cent charge to my credit card that's been occurring on a monthly basis. I don't know if I'll look to publish those episodes, but I do try to keep copies of things so that I can drop the Anna host read manscaping ad spot.
Oh God. I'm so glad that never went out.
It was a beauty. So yeah, maybe one day we can release that as a special edition. But c4podcast.com, you can find out more about the show, all of our episodes, all the guests that have joined us, as well as myself and Anna. Speaking of social medias, we're on all of them at c4podcast.com on Blue Sky, at the Real C4 Podcast on Threads, and at the C4 Podcast on X. I'm Chris at Lightforce everywhere. You are Anna A4603 everywhere. And with all of that, we out.